Hello, everyone. Welcome
I
back
have a
to
question.
amazing, amazing live. TeeCee, you about to ask me a question?
I didn't realize that you're already going live because I'm like, I have a question. But you were live already, so it's fine.
I'm not. I mean, the audience may benefit from this question, but hey, everyone, we are here again. Myself, TeeCee Okore, and I'm Allegra Jackson, the marketing medulla, and we're going to be bringing you another episode of the Big Brand Small Business. This time, we're going to talk about FedEx. And I love this one because, we're talking about logistics, we're talking about data, we're talking about like information, right? Because initially, like I think when I thought about FedEx, deliveries and things like that, of course. But there's just so much involved in that, right? There's so much more. And so we're going to dig into the FedEx culture. We're going to talk about how they revolutionized the logistics of their industry. And I want to first do introductions so y'all can get to know myself and TeeCee. Um, I am Allegra, the marketing medulla. I'm a business coach and marketing strategist. I'm also a business analyst. I don't mention that a lot, but that's because that's the behind the scenes of the business world. We have to look at all of the things that are working to make the business work. And that's what I love to do. See what's working well, what's not working well, and improve on that and do what you're doing well better. I partner with amazing individuals like TeeCee Okore, who is my partner in business here. I have been working with TeeCee for a while. And one thing that I love to do is tell y'all that if you are not in a mindset of implementation, if you know that you're getting the instruction and you're just confused about how to move forward and in your own way, right? Because anybody can tell you what to do, but how you do that thing and when you do that thing, right? That's up to you. And so TeeCee is going to teach you how to strategize and implement that thing. And so TeeCee, I want you to introduce yourself and let's get into this amazing conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So it's so good to be here, and I want us to ask those questions. So I have a couple of questions about FedEx, and I have a couple of I have reservations, okay, and I want us to as well, ask all of our questions because I feel like out of all of the brands that we've been dissecting for the past weeks now, FedEx is a bit different. Okay, it's a bit different, and so that's the more reason why I feel like we're going to learn so much from this amazing brand. I mean, it's an international brand right now, right? It goes internationally. This is a brand from it's like when you say from scratch to sky, right? They've had an amazing journey, and their structure is a bit different from the brands that we've been working on. So I'm very excited to have this chat with you. As always, my name is TeeCee. I'm a systems implementation strategist and also what you know as the back end hand, right? So if you have questions about what goes on at the back end of your business, okay, you want to implement, you want to execute, like Allegra said, you want to reach out to me, okay? I'm able to answer all of the questions and also help you get that done. But today we want to get one or two amazing notes from FedEx. I mean, I actually didn't know so much about FedEx until, we were supposed to talk about FedEx. And so I had to go do my research and I'm like, oh my gosh, really? I'm sure you're going to be wild as well. Over to your Allegra.
I love these conversations because this is what it does. It actually enlightens us to be more at the forefront of our business because no one can run the business like you can. So when we mimic and model what other people are doing in their businesses, it has to come from a place where you're taking what they do well and you're tweaking it in your own business so that you are actually a component of success for the brand that you're creating, not someone else's brand. And I love the fact that, you're talking about this, TeeCee, because we're going to take an in-depth look into this business. We might have to have a part two because I have like so much information on like even their business planning, their marketing strategy, how they put things together to make it work for their audience. We have to do this. Like these are things that make the business grow. And if we're not doing these things in our businesses and we're going to model after amazing big brands like FedEx, right? But if you're not doing these things with your business, then unfortunately, we're kind of like going against what works, right? Or we're not trying out what works to see what works for us. So we do have to look at what's working well for these businesses, and also take that same energy, put it into our business, and then build on that. And that's what we do in these lives. I just want to start off with just talking about FedEx a little bit, because it has a comprehensive history, right? And basically, the founding vision and origin came from the founder, who is Frederick W. Smith. Yeah, Frederick W. Smith. So this guy was a visionary. Like, he had an idea for this company, and he did it when he was a student at Yale University. How many of us had dreams when we were students in college? And how many of those dreams lasted till, right? Like, just imagine, like, using your avenues that you have, your resources you have in college, and saying, help me build this business, right? And so I thought it was so cool, because I looked at the fact that he used that time as a student to really take the idea, because he was doing a term paper. And how many times do we like overlook the work, right? We're like, oh, I'll just get it done. I'll just remember, what I need to write down. But how many times do we really dig into what we're doing, to learn, to understand? Even the Bible says, in all you're getting, get understanding. So we have to look at, like, this huge, amazing company came from a term paper. One day, this student is sitting in class, and he's doing a term paper. He's getting an assignment, starts doing a term paper, and then he theorized. It was a theory he wrote about a system, right? A system, not a business, not a brand, not a program, not a product, a system that could ensure overnight delivery of time-sensitive documents and parcels. And it was a radical idea for that time, right? This is early stage, right? In the 1970s. I don't know how many of us were born. I wasn't born in 1970, just FYI, y'all, okay? I wasn't even around. So the fact that I remember what the postal service looked like when I was like 9 and 10, can't imagine, right? So think about how this idea with a student in college, and he's like, big ideas, right? I'm sure no one else like came to him, was like, oh, that's great, let's do this today. I'm sure he had to really lay that thing out and understand what it did first and the value of it, so that he could express that value to other people, because it was a radical idea. Like, radical ideas are not always accepted. And when delivery systems were slower, and they're less reliable, right? This was not radically bad. This was radically good. It was like who would have thought of this, right? And sometimes we have big ideas like that. And we have such big ideas. And this is what I've heard, TeeCee. I want to hear from you before we go into the milestones and the growth and things like that. But I have had big ideas and things that people have said to me, but you know what? They never pursued it. I never pursued it. Why? Because the idea was so big. It was so monstrous for that time frame that I was like, who's going to want this? Like, how do I put that together? Like, what? Like, I wanted the now. I wanted the how do I make it work now? But the truth is, if we're going to build a big brand, if we're going to have a small business that actually is that big of a brand, that's what you want, because everybody doesn't want that. But if that's what you want, then you have to invest in what you're doing wholeheartedly, and it has to be for the long term. We're going to talk about that a little bit in here. And I just want to talk about the fact that, he centered this concept around a hub and spoke model, allowing for efficient packaging, sorting, and rapid distribution. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But TeeCee, I want to hear what you have to say about this.
I was laughing because I was kind of trying to picture myself back in like my first degree. I remember, like, even down to the very last. No, okay. I think I repented and I started to be more intentional. My first degree, listen, from my year one to my very last year, I was just reading to, like, pass. I remember I had a couple of projects that were really good. My final year project, I had an A in it. But listen, I had zero interest it's like I just did everything I wanted to do, so I pass, you know. And so that this is not me saying that, you know, it's good. This is just me saying that if I knew what I know now, if I knew it then, I mean, I should have been like a millionaire like years back, right? And that's because most times, so many of us have great ideas. Listen, I remember having, I think, three, four businesses during the course of my first degree. And you see, all of those businesses, it literally flops. I'll do one, and after a while, you know, it's either I lose interest or something happens, you know, I don't pursue it anymore, and I go, you know, or something else happens. Now, I think it's part of the learning system. But the truth is, sometimes the greatest ideas that actually manufacture itself as awesome when we only do that when we implement it and when we put it to work. Like when we keep talking about ideas and ideas, the truth is those ideas are just ideas. They're just thoughts. No, they're not ideas. They're just thoughts, opinions, what your head space is saying. It's not necessarily going to work itself until you work it, right? And so I think that for me, Frederick was, you know, he's that person that I call action taker, right? And the fact that he was able to walk through that same vision and okay, build something out of it, I want to give it to him. Remember earlier I said that this is one difference, you know, in all the rest of the brands that we'll be talking about. The rest of the brands had, you know, partnerships, these sales marketing expert, all them good stuff. Like this guy literally was studying. And so he came up with an idea that he was clueless about, but he felt it and he wanted to work, he wanted to go with it. And he went with it. Like, how many times do we have those God-given ideas? You know, how many times do we realize how gifted we are? But you know, our minds be like telling us, this thing is not going to make you a million tomorrow, so why bother? And so you shove it off, you know, somewhere, and then you don't think about it again. Forgetting the fact that as long as the idea, the vision solves a problem, it is definitely profitable. I mean, you are amazing. You are needed when you're valuable. And for you to be valuable, you need to solve problems, right? And that's exactly what FedEx was all about, solving a problem, right? So I'm taking notes because, like I said, there's a very big difference between this particular brand and the other brands that we were talking about in the past few weeks. And, you know, for me, one thing I would take away before I pass it back to you, Allegra, is the fact that those little small ideas that we say would never work, pause on it. Because when we sit on those ideas, right, we think about it true and true with our logical minds, and we realize that it is solving a certain kind of problem. That is the trigger, that is the sign that you need to put in that work needed to make that idea work. I'll leave there. I'll leave that like that, right? Over to you, Allegra.
No, I love it. I love it. And here's the truth. You know, one of the things that I do when I first start out, even working with my clients, starting a new business, right? Like, it's never about the actual, like, oh, I got to write a business plan, right? Like, you do have to write it out so that you understand like what you're actually seeing for yourself. Because if you have big ideas, which all of us really do, like TeeCee, when you were talking about being in college and like, you know, the things that you had on your plate, and if you would have just like started on it and just continued through, you would have been successful. And we know that, like, we know now at our big age that as long as you push through and keep looking for the solutions and just doing the work, you're going to get to success. That is the only reason we fail is when we quit. I'm just going to be real with y'all. The only reason we fail is because we quit. There is no failure really in doing something to the fullest extent of your power, because you learn stuff, right? Like, you learn what you did right, you learn what you did wrong, so you get the best of the best out of every situation and experience. But when you quit, you fail yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was telling my mom the other day, because, y'all know we were caregiving together. And I told her, I said, listen, I was like, the future of you going to be mad at the person you are today, right? Because you got to actually invest in your future person. Like, you got to invest in your future you. And we do that so much with other people, other businesses. Like, we'll work someone's 9 to 5 and build their entire business. But then when you have an idea and when you have a business, something coming up for you, you don't want to bet on yourself that big. Bet on yourself bigger than you would someone else, right? And so I love the fact that he was at Yale and he took that opportunity. And I mean, I don't know what kind of situation that could have looked like, because to be honest with you, this was something new. It was new. So he had to be very confident in the fact that he knew what he was talking about. How confident are you about your idea? How confident are you about the things that you are presenting, your products, your services, your brand? Because this is why I think, a lot of times, TeeCee, when we're talking about marketing and people go, oh, it's not working. I put it out there. I said the marketing works when you work it, right? The business works when you work it. It works when you work it. And a lot of that comes from saying it's not working how I thought it would. Let me change it. Or that's what I thought I needed. Let me make a different decision, because everything that we do is about choices. And so when I was looking at, some of this information, I'm like, man, I made the choice. Like, I made these choices, y'all. We are making these choices on ourselves. So make the choice to bet on yourself big, because looking at FedEx and where they are today and where it came from, listen, he bet big, real big. And he had to have known that it was successful, because in 1971, that's when it was born. And he officially founded the corporation in Arkansas. I don't even know what's in Arkansas, y'all. Like, Arkansas is like this small on the map. It was like in Little Rock, Arkansas. So like, it was in a very small town. So for all you small towners who are like, all the way in like a little small city where everybody knows your name and nobody takes you seriously, there's no excuse, right? Because the owner of FedEx was from Little Rock, Arkansas. Like, I'm sure he had to get himself out there. I'm sure he had to get to know people in the big cities, right? Where all the deliveries were happening, where the logistics were happening. So listen, you got to look at like what the struggles that came out of this initial idea for this guy, and why he didn't give up. Because if he didn't give up, it's got to be something. It's got to be something in there about, the fact that resilience teaches you more and more about what you're doing, so you can do it better. But I promise you, y'all, like, when I look at this, I look at the financial struggles. He secured critical venture capital funding after relocating to Memphis, Tennessee. So he had to get out of Arkansas. Like, how are you gonna be productive there? You gotta go to a bigger city. You got to get with bigger companies. You got to partner up, right? So he did what he needed to do to make sure that the company was thriving. And, it was mostly because he was in a place where the company could thrive because of the location. So one of the things that I always tell people in their business planning process, like when you're doing your 7 Ps, which we call the marketing mix, you have to, look at your location. That's your place. Location. We used to say it back in the day, and if Dr. Al was on this live, he'd probably laugh, because I always say this in our coaching sessions. I'm like, you literally have to have the right location, whether you have a brick and mortar or a virtual store. Location, location, location. Because if I'm driving down the street on a main highway and your store is behind the highway on a cross street, and I never get to see your storefront, then I literally have to rely on your digital marketing, your Google My Business page, right, to lead me and direct me to where you are. But that's literally like a hit or miss, right? So being in the right location where people can literally see what you're doing, and like be in the midst of and then one thing they said in here that was really good for him was favorable weather for air traffic. Now listen. We're talking about, this is something that he had to discover at the birth of FedEx, where he discovered that there was a better location that his business could thrive in. There was better weather for the type of services that he was going to provide for the people that need it. And he was also looking at the fact that, there was some financial issues. Because coming from Little Rock, Arkansas to a big city, you're going to have to, have some capital, right? So FedEx didn't come from a gentleman who was like wealthy and had the money and, oh, this is a Yale student, right? May have had some backing in money, right? So yeah, he did, but he had to still ask for the money, whether it's from your parents, whether it's from your guidance counselor, whether it's from your coach. You have to ask for money. And I'm going to pull out like some things here before we move on, because TeeCee, I want to hear about this from you. Some of the biggest struggles I see with business owners is that they don't ask for money. Like, seriously. And I'm talking about from anywhere from customers, asking for money from your clients, customers, from your local banks, your CDFIs, your grants, your governments, right? Like, there's so much money out there, and we call it other people's money, OPM. And some of the things that I love is that if you look at your business is not about self-funding. It's not about taking your money and putting it in just so it can run. That's crazy. Because if you want to have a business that you're only paying for yourself, and you don't have people giving you their money to say, I believe in that business and I believe it'll grow, let me go ahead and invest in you. If you're not able to do that, then you don't have a business. We say this all the time, you have a hobby. And so we want to turn what you're doing into that business sense, because the truth is that if you're not asking for funding, and this could, like I said, loans, grants, getting money from individuals that need your services, is all part of you funding your business. Same way when it comes down to, are you located where people can find you? And are you in a place where, like he said, the weather, but let's just think about atmosphere. Are you in a place, in an atmosphere that allows your products and services to thrive the best? So those are the 3 questions I have for y'all. So if you can answer those questions and put them in the comments, I would love that. I want to hear from you, TeeCee. Let me know what you think about this.
So while you were speaking, one thing stood out for me. Location. I'm going to talk about, obviously, asking for the money, asking for the sale. I mean, I think it gets to this point as an entrepreneur where you need to understand that if it's not working, it's not because you are awkward, it's not because your product is crappy, it's not because your services is a mess. It just might need you to relocate. I mean, it just might need you to change, move, tweak. That might just be it. Um, I used to have a mentor that said, you know, be where your business is, meaning where your business will thrive, you should find yourself there. And every time I think about it, it helps me want to do the next thing that I need to do. I mean, it might not necessarily happen for you like right now, but the truth is that business, that vision, that skill, that knowledge that you have, that business that you currently have might change. No, not let me don't use the word change, might transform if only you take that simple step. Change your location. Now, changing your location might mean several different things. Okay. It might mean change the platform you're using, but obviously, I'm going to get to that because I know when I talk about change the platform we're using, some people will be like, "Oh, Instagram isn't working for me. Oh, Facebook isn't." Like, how do you know these platforms are not working for you? Right? Do your research. I mean, Frederick wouldn't have just taken his cells and his bag and boom into the next. No, he would have understood where his customers are, understood where his business will thrive, and he understood the importance of being positioned in the space where his business is needed first, at his first place, right? Now, so people can notice him, or rather notice the brand. He can meet with the partners that he envisions. Sometimes, the reasons why we're stuck in certain places might just be that we're not meeting the right people. It might be that we're not partnering with the right people. It might be that we're not collaborating with the right people. It might be that you're actually speaking to the wrong persons. It's not necessarily, oh, your social media manager, or oh, this person. No, it might just be you doing that one switch, but you can't know all of these things if you haven't done like the background work. I mean, Frederick was was I don't want to use the word playing around, right? But he was literally trying to get that system that he built for his, term paper into a reality. Now, this is something paper theory. Sometimes they tell us that those things in theory that they teach us in school is not always applicable, like on the field, right? But he wanted to bring it to reality. He wanted to get those theory that he literally mapped out. He wanted to bring it to reality. And if there is anything I know about FedEx, right? I don't use it so much, but if anything I want to remember about FedEx is that reliability. That's the word. Shoot, that word, I didn't really realize that word is so big. Okay, so it's it's the reliability, right? It's the fact that they are reliable. Now, when it's not for everyone. If you notice, FedEx is a bit, not for everyone, right? Now, what it means is if you're going to deliver, or you need a logistic company or a courier service, or someone who's going to help you manage your confidentiality, right? And take it to where you want to take you. Who do you remember? What comes to mind first? Now, the truth is, I'm sure he talked about these things. He talked about all of this. And like, where can I find these people? How can these people find me? Now, think about all of this. Put yourself in that situation. What are the attributes? How do you want people to perceive you? Now, the people that you want to perceive your brand, your tone, your style, all of this, where do you find those people? Are you in the right place? If you're not in the right place, please stop blaming everybody else aside from yourself. Shift. Maybe that's the word before the end of the year. Shift if you need to. I see the difference.
Ooh, that was sweet. I was like, do stay. I love it. Y'all, listen, I'm all about this whole shifting. And it reminds me of something that we originally, before I even started Women into Networking with Community, y'all, like we were using these words on Clubhouse. I believe it was a room that, if y'all remember Ariana, she used to do these rooms where she used to do like the shift, right? And literally used to feel like we need to shift. Like we need to get out of that. Like stop doing the same thing over and over again. Do something that's going to help you change the language, the mindset, the feel, right? And we do that here all the time and win, because as soon as it start getting stale, we be like, whoa, something ain't right. And so I love that you said that, TeeCee, because listen, one of the things I love so much about this is that we complain about things that these companies already had issues with. They just never stopped, right? So what makes them any different? Nothing. It's just that they decided, right? These individuals that started these companies decided to not stop, because in the beginning, TeeCee, he had some real financial problems. And a lot of us are experiencing that right now. A lot of us are actually making excuses as to not invest in ourselves because we don't feel like we have enough money. And the truth is that if you don't invest in yourself, you won't make any more. So it's like we gotta be very reasonable and realistic to ourselves about what business actually creates for us. It creates a level of awareness that in order to receive, you have to give. In order, like, is just taking lead generation, for example, and TeeCee is masterful at this. If you are looking to attract more people to your sales funnels, your marketing channels, to get more people to buy from you, right? You have to attract them a certain way. Um, but one of the biggest things I do understand, though, and because I don't want to elaborate too much on it, I want to get back into this because I know I can be long-winded, and this is a short conversation, and that we want you to be impacted by. One of the biggest things that I want to lean into, though, because we talked about the capital, talked about the money. We are facing struggles, but you have to invest. I don't know why this is making me stuck on this. We have to invest. And the reason why too, TeeCee, is that one of the things that I remember, one of my older clients, not older, but a year ago, decided to invest in themselves. And the way they invested in themselves was more for pleasure gain than for profit gain. It was like, I want the pretty website. I want the pretty clothes. I want the pretty hairdo. I want my nails done. I want to show up on lives looking a certain way, so I'm buying the camera. I want to sound a certain way, so I'm going to get me a speech coach. But when I actually dug into what they really needed, they had all of that, but they did not actually have a business. So you're dressing up for what? Like, you don't have anything established yet to really create the message for the audience. So all of the investments that are being made with the capital, the financial, that the stuff that's supposed to be coming back to you in your business, right? Because you may have to have an initial investment yourself, like invest, $5,000 in your business, right? But you got to get that back. So if we're spending, not investing, if we're spending it on like the nice outfits and the shoes and the earrings and the hairdo and stuff to make us look good instead of be good. The biggest things I would encourage people to do is, number one, sit down and get the things that don't cost you anything at all first. Because you can literally get support. And I'll plug this in here and then I'll continue. I'm sorry, I had to pause for a moment, but I've always had a mentor from SBA. Our corporate partner, Mr. Denise Cummings, is also a mentor with SBA. That's how we found her. And I have never felt so prepared, like so unprepared, right? Like if I did not have a mentor with me, I would be like a lot of people today, restarting over and over and over again and never getting to a result because you don't know what you don't know. So we have to be able to kind of get ourselves into a process, y'all, because these things about what we complain about, not, financial struggles, there is no financial struggle. You're going to spend money. Every day you spend money. What are you spending money on matters. Okay, I'm going to end with that. But the other thing I will say too is that they did launch in 1973. So about 2 years after FedEx was born, they launched an overnight delivery service. Now this is pivotal, okay? Because 2 years after they officially founded, the logistics company and talking about delivery service, it was just impactful. Like everyone needed that. It was something that was never made. It was never created. So imagine if he wouldn't have did it, right? Like we would have just been like really bad right now. Like we would not have them. And how many people rely on FedEx in business? I rely on FedEx in business sometimes because I got my FedEx account, right? And I can print out my labels. I can print out my FedEx labels. I can do packaging. It literally changed the entire process of a small business owner in their home. But it started from the idea of this student sitting in a classroom at Yale University. And so then you talk about the overnight delivery service that was launched 2 years later. So that means that he was still doing his market research, that they were still looking into the market, still seeing what people needed, looking at the solutions they were giving and saying, are there more solutions we can give them? Are you looking at your business? And are you asking yourself these same questions? Are there more solutions that I could be giving them? And it doesn't have to necessarily be in a whole separate service, right? Like TeeCee, we talked about this. If you have programs, add to your programs. If you have services, add to your services, right? Up the value, up the price point, upgrade them. But we can't not grow. So we got to look at that. Like, what more can you give people? And he did that in 1973, launched the overnight delivery service. He also had this as one of the most, it was the hallmark of the brand. So this was really what made FedEx who they are today. The overnight delivery service made them who they are today. And it was innovative. Everything about this was innovative. No one heard of it. No one knew of it. But guess what? Look how we use it today. So for years, no one may not hear about you. They may not use you. They may not even boast about you. But that may be in their next generation, right? Their kids are going to boast about you. Their grandkids are going to boast about you. And we have to look at our businesses in that way. It's not for the now. But I will end with this too, because this model, it was very revolutionary. And it said at the time, no other company, y'all. Listen, this is where market research comes into place, because if you don't know what's out there, then you could be reinventing the wheel. But he knew no one else had this, because at that time there was no other company that had perfected a model that, that FedEx pioneered in. They were pioneering the industry with that model. And I'm sure no one could tell them if that model was good or bad, right? Like, how do we go out and be like, do you think my business is good? Do you think my product's working? Do you think this? Do you think that? Who cares what people think? Like, as long as people are using it and they're getting results, that's all you need to focus on. But the point is that, you may also have an innovative idea. You may also be at the forefront as a trailblazer in your industry. But you can't stop doing what you're doing because it feels hard, it looks hard, or you don't have no money. Because if that was the case, then every single business that we've read about in this series, we would not be benefiting from them today. I want to stop there, TeeCee, because, we can go forever with this, but, the overnight delivery packages, I'm going to tell you right now, it's still revolutionized my life, because if I need something overnight, right, it's necessary. But go ahead. I would love to hear from you.
No, I mean, I agree. No one, I don't think, excuse me, I don't think there is any brand right now that can, assure us of staying reliable and also delivering overnight, and also making sure that whatever you are delivering is secure. I don't know, because for me, if I am to say, like, off my head, it's usually FedEx, right? But my point is, just to summarize all that we've been saying, is the fact that it was not an idea, basically. It was a template, okay, that made sense to him and just struck him and be like, okay, you know what? This, this is something. I want to make it work. Now, let us not close our eyes to the fact that he had challenges. Meaning, if you're currently listening to this and you're facing whatever challenges in your business, financial challenges, any kind of setback in your business, do not yield to those setbacks. Because you see, the truth is, it's part of the journey. It's part of your story. I mean, what is a perfect story without the um, grass to grace kind of level? What is the perfect story without you talking about how hopeless you were, how terrible you felt, and how, that's such a cute story. People want to hear that grace to grass story, right? And it's not only because people want to hear, it's the fact that it's showing persistence, it's showing faith, it's showing the fact that if I can believe in this, why not you? I mean, if you want me to believe and trust in your business, you want to do that first. If I'm going to trust in you want to start first to trust in what you say you do. I mean, so many of us do not trust what we do. We do not trust our skills. We do not trust our knowledge. And that's why whenever trials, challenges, because they will come. If you really have something good coming, like going on with you, those temptations will come. Those setbacks will come. Now, when they come, would you fall for it? Now, if you do, we are watching. People are watching. Now, we are watching because we want to see if we can trust you, all right, to overcome all of those. Because, if you can't overcome them, it means that you don't even trust what you say we should buy. Like, I don't get it. When you don't believe in it, why should I be a part of it? But if you show up regardless, if you ask for help regardless, if you switch your location, maybe switch platform, if you put in your very all to make it work, listen, all of your effort is not going in vain. The universe is seeing it, your ideal clients are seeing it, your whatever is seeing it. It would definitely work because you are putting in your very all. Do you know what that means? Faith, they say, can move mountains. Now, just because you have that faith in that business as a solution to somebody's problem, that's really all you need for you to push that brand. But for you to also elevate that faith, you have to put in the work. Now, work can mean, like Frederick, relocating. And relocating can mean anything. Okay? Okay, it could mean platform, it could mean location, it could mean switch, shift. Now, work can also mean going out and asking for that money. If you don't know how to ask for the sale, learn how to ask for the sale. Because you see, they say closed mouths cannot be fed. If you close your mouth, you chuck your skills, you put it under your bed or under somewhere. No one is going to know how amazing you are. So you want to open your mouth, market yourself, because that is why you're a business owner. You market. That's what you do for a living. Like literally, keep marketing yourself. Even in your sleep, you're marketing your sleep. When you're praying, you're marketing. Every single thing you need to market, right? You need to sell. That's who you are, a business owner, right? So I would just say that we should take advantage of all of the amazingness, that Frederick is more or less reminding us. Because I feel like everything about Frederick right now is just a reminder, reminder that it's part of the journey, reminder that you need to make it work, reminder that the business is valid. You just need to make it valid. I'll end with that. Over to you, Allegra.
Yeah, this is really good, and I'm glad we're all doing this together because it's reminding me the same, TC. We go through. There's nothing new under the sun, so like, there's no magical pill that people are swallowing that just makes them successful. Like, it's the same concept over time, right? Building the business takes more than just you, even though it was just him as a Yale student. Y'all think like he could have just like went out there and started sending a whole bunch of DMs and and emails and make a couple of phone calls and that was gonna make FedEx popular? Like what if and I want to look at I want y'all to listen to the marketing strategy. I'm gonna tell y'all his marketing strategy, but listen, what if it was just what we're doing? Like, look at your marketing strategy today. I want you all to do this. Look at your marketing strategy right now. What is it composed of? And how much does it include you showing up in front of people that need to support you? Because doing it alone means that you're not seen and heard enough, right? You don't have to necessarily have a huge team, right? You don't have to have a whole bunch of employees. Myself and TeeCee talk about this all the time. Anyone that is helping you in your mission is part of your team. So whether it's a contract, whether it's someone that's volunteering, whether it's someone that's just like an employee or a manager, they're all part of your team. And I love the fact that when he went out, he was struggling financially, y'all. He was a college student. So I don't care what college you go to. College student, come on now. You're not thinking about what that business is going to bring you. And once you start the business, you have a passion, which this is from a term paper. And he's like, this is revolutionary. I'm sure his teacher was like, this is revolutionary, right? So I'm sure he did not do this alone. And we have to really be very, very understanding about what that looks like for us. Because if we are the ones doing everything by ourselves, then how are you going to get the funding? Who's going to reach out and give you, like, how are you going to get that capital that's needed? Because someone had to have seen that innovative business model and said, that right there, that's going to be successful. And they had the money. But if he wasn't out there talking about the business every day or whenever he was, or presenting that term paper as a business plan, or, if he wasn't saying these things that we tell you all to do every single day, whether it's in a live, whether it's in a DM, whether it's on a video, whether it's showing up on a live audio, whatever that looks like, even in person, meetups, conferences, networking events. Shout out to Connect to Win Conference. I'll see y'all next week. But I'm telling you that if you are absolutely in a place where you know that you have something really good, you're going to want to show up everywhere. The only thing you need to overcome is that fear of showing up consistently, right? Because no one teaches you what that feels like when you have to show up in a place and talk about what you do. And now you have to actually get someone to either say they like it or they don't. That fear of rejection, that fear of, it's not going to work, that fear of they're not going to want to do it, that alone cancels people out. That alone makes people say, I give up. Because I don't want to go. It's too hard. But the truth is, it's going to be hard. It's hard to lose, and it's also hard to win. Like, it's hard on both sides. So we have to be able to invest in what we know is our desire, which doesn't always align with what we know or what we've been doing. And I'll end it with this too, because I don't want to go into the marketing thing, TeeCee. I think I want to continue this conversation and have them ask questions. And then I think I want to bring this back again next week, if not, if we don't do a pop-up, because I want to really lean into the questions people have and then bring it back and talk about that and see where you are in your marketing too, because one of the biggest things that FedEx loves, and so we always say, it's not knowledge is power, right? It's the implementation of knowledge that is power, right? You're not going to just get power just because you know something. We see this all the time. People, YouTube University, all y'all know what to do, but are you doing it? Okay. So when you do look at this marketing, right? He had a business plan. I will share the business plan with y'all if you request it. So DM me or send something in a comment. I'll send you the business plan for FedEx. And I'll also talk about the marketing, because here's the thing. In their marketing message, one of the biggest things that they focused on, right, was their trustworthiness. Like and they wanted it to be an iconic brand. So they never thought small. Like from the beginning, it was never like, oh, let's just start here. It was like, no, like we got to be trustworthy. And this is how they remain trustworthy. Number one of their most successful marketing slogans was, and this is why we tell y'all, put your marketing elements together and create your marketing message and create your branding kits. Do the work. Because if you don't have that up and running, then you won't be able to do these things. Like the slogan that matches the mission that says, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. That was their slogan. When it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. There's no way he can know that that's something that would relate to his audience of business owners and people who are starting businesses. It's like, oh my God, I got t-shirts to ship out, or my customer, I forgot to send that. Now I got to send it overnight, or I need an additional option for my customers to feel more comfortable getting their products. Like, listen, it's so interesting when you think about how something as simple as a slogan. Like, how many of y'all got slogans? What, TeeCee, my slogan is passion, purpose, profit. That's it. So if you're not coming here to take your passion and fuel your purpose and turn it into profit, don't come over here. Just that way. But that's why we have things like heavy assessments and qualifiers. And that's why our programs have that. But every business coach don't have that. Some business coaches, you go right in there and you come right back out. Like, it's good. Right? So you have to understand, like, what your slogan says. What's your slogan, TeeCee? Listen, I don't put TeeCee on the spot now. But listen, can you, okay, you back. Do you have a slogan, TeeCee?
So I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but this is what I use: protect your time, energy, and sanity.
Yeah. I mean, the slogan is part of the marketing message. Yeah. The slogan is part of the marketing message. And so, listen, y'all, real talk. It could be a slogan. It could be a jingle. It could be one thing that we put together in one of our branding elements kits, like it's like 2 years ago when we were doing branding, and I just stopped it because it was so, like, branding is a lot, y'all. You got to like put a lot of things into your branding kit. But that comes from your business ideas, your planning, your strategy, your audience. Like, you have to understand what you're doing, your brand. Like, and then on top of that, I realized that, there's a difference between your brand elements, and your brand elements and your branding, right? Because your brand elements are the things that you're posting about, right? Like your logo, your flyers, right? Your slogan, right? Your typography, your fonts, your colors, like all these things that we like, oh, I gotta have my website right, and it has to have my brand on it. Okay, that's branding elements. The branding is what you do with those elements. That's how you put it out there into the world. That's how people, get to, see it on a billboard or like they see your brand, the way it looks. Now that's branding, but your brand is something you cannot control. Your brand is how people see you. So no matter how you put your business out there, if you think, oh, I'm amazing, my brand is amazing, and I'm so awesome because I just do a great job, and someone else comes to your brand and they're like, she sucks, that's your brand. Because the truth is that their experience is what your brand is telling them, not the elements you put together, because you can put a lot of things together and make it look good, but the truth is, how does it make people feel? So that's your brand. So if your brand is not giving what it's supposed to give, what it's supposed to give, okay, then those are the conversations that we had to have. And that's why, marketing has been such a pivotal point for us, because we focused on that. We said, no, your branding may look great, but, how's your business and how's your marketing? Because if you don't have core values in you, then your branding kit is going to suck anyway. So we got to really, really look at that. And I just want to say too, y'all, we got to get out of here, but it's not just your slogan, right? If you go to is it Abercrombie and Fitch? No, I don't think it's Abercrombie and Fitch. It's one of my favorite places too. It might be, but it was one of these places I love going to. I used to love going to the mall to some of my Banana Republic. Remember Banana Republic, y'all? We used to go to these these wonderful places that used to give women these nice corporate looks and feels. Because I used to work in corporate, so of course I had to have my nice, business suits with the silk inside of my pants to make me feel really, really good. That was a signature part of that brand that I love so much. They had certain things that I couldn't get at other stores. Same way, if I go in a store in a mall and I smell a certain scent, that's their brand scent. No one else has that scent. How much of your brand do you have associated, with your business that people can recognize and say, oh my God, that matches what I need? So I'll end with this. When FedEx said that their marketing slogan was, when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight, that encapsulated the company's promise of speed and delivery. Oh, I'm sorry. Speed and reliability. That's what the two components. So a lot of times when we're telling people about our businesses, right, they don't care about what we offering. They care about that. They're like, I'm going to get it fast. Right? You want to reassure me? I don't have to worry about it. That's what they're buying. And then he talked about the slogan. It not only reinforced the company's position in the market, but it also differentiated against their competitors who could not match their next day delivery promise. I'm done. That's all. Can't match them. Can't match them.
This is so good. I'm literally taking notes. I'm literally taking so much notes.
Can't match them. How you gonna match somebody who had an innovative idea, who put it out there in the world, who believed in it before you even knew it existed, and now they over here doing something that you gotta now catch up to? It happens a lot, and that's a lot of us. We just gave up on those ideas, right? We're just nah, that looked too hard, that looked too big, I don't know what that's gonna look like. And then this is the key. This is the funny part, TeeCee. You ever have an idea and it's so big that you oh, that's great, I'll save it, I'll do it later, right? I'll write the business plan later. I'll focus on that next year. I already got it, right? But this is one thing God don't do. He don't play with your time. So God will take that big idea that you had and he'll give it to somebody else. Now he won't take it away from you, but he'll give it to someone else, because the truth is that in this land, in this time, he wants things to move. And so the truth is, if you're not moving, right, God's not going to wait on you. So we have to be able to say, are we ready to move when we have those big ideas? Yes, you have the capability to do everything that you have an idea for. Are you willing to do the work is the question, right? And when you give away your idea by not doing it right now, let me write the business plan today. Let me start on that marketing strategy right now. Let me think about, let me brainstorm right now. Let me call Allegra. Let me call TeeCee right now. Let me DM them right now. When you don't do it right now, and God gives that idea to someone else, or he gives that structure to someone else, and you see them do it, do not come back here and say, I can't believe they stole my idea. Do not say, I can't believe I was going to do that and I can't believe they didn't. Don't say that. Because the truth is, you had a chance to do it. And we want to encourage you to just do it. Like Nike, right? We know that slogan. So I just want to go ahead and stop there, TC. This is a great conversation. I want to having more. I do have to leave and head to one of my clients here in Midtown. But TC, before I do that, I want to hear some final words, some wonderful takeaways of anything that you got from this, because you said you learned some things. I did too. But let's go ahead and finalize it and let everyone get out of here and take their own notes and then come back and ask questions next week.
No, this was very good. This is really, really good because, like I said, it's different from the other brands that we've been talking about. And this is, like down into what I would say a typical small business, situation, right? Where he started, how he grew, the challenges he faced. Like, it's so relatable, right? And that's why I feel like this is really huge and this is good. I kind of took a lot of it because now I'm looking at my slogan. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me look at it again. Let me clean it out. Let me see, how does it feel? I'm literally posting on my Facebook to ask people what they think about my slogan. Right? I want to see how they feel about it, what they think about it. And this is me not waiting. I'm like doing this right now, as you can see. I'm actually on my phone. I'm like, let me quickly just post it and see what people have to say. Right? Like I said, this particular brand and everything for me is just this whole reawakening kind of reminder, kind of, okay, no, this is where you're coming from, this is where you are, this is where you need to be, right? And you want to be very intentional with putting in the action, putting in the work that will get you there. Like, hey, no one is going to save you. You have to save yourself. And when you're not ready to save yourself, like literally you're going to be all by yourself, okay, because the truth is that's just the way life is, right? If you don't ask for help, sometimes we don't get the help because we don't ask, so you just need to be very intentional. I mean, even when you go to God in prayers and ask for the help, I'm sure he will tell you that, if I have to come down and help you directly, I'm literally going to just destroy so many things. So I'm going to use somebody. I'm going to leverage somebody, a human being, a thing, to make it work for you. So what this means is that you need to leave your house, right? You need to leave all of those mindset um, setbacks. You need to stop telling yourself, no, when I reach this, then I do this. When I make my new hair, then I do this. When I do that, I will do this. Like, I mean, you're putting those conditions and if just for yourself. No one else is doing that to you. You're just the one doing it to yourself. And besides, we don't even care. Well, I mean, we'll love it when you're like looking all pretty, but we're human beings and we know that if you're a mom of maybe three active kids, and every now and then you come with your, pretty looking scarf and then you kind of tie your hair and put just your lipstick. We understand the fact that or something, behind the scene is happening, but you still need to show up for your business, right? All we see is the value and the solution we want to get from you. That's all we can see. So stop limiting yourself, stop restricting yourself. I mean, that's just a reminder I'm telling myself, and I want you to also take that hint to do the work on yourself and on your business. I'll see you all next week. Over to you, Allegra.
Yes, and I told TC, I said, I want y'all to DM me. I want y'all to DM us. Let us know, what kind of questions you have. You can put in the comments as well. But also, we work with people on this stuff. Like we work with you on getting out of the what do they call like the oh, I just had the word, the slump, I guess I'll call it, right? Because sometimes, you start out with something, you're really excited about it, and then you're just like, wait, what happened? Right? Like I'm not marketing, I'm not getting the results, I'm not making sales, and life will life. Like one of the things that I know for a fact is that businesses by itself is going to do what you do with it. What happens is, especially as women entrepreneurs, and I want to leave with this because I work specifically with women entrepreneurs, so I know our challenges, y'all. We are at the head of business right now. We are running our businesses. We are running other people's businesses. We are making, we're starting the most businesses. So we have to be able to be responsible, and I just want to make sure that we're not you know that we're being very opportunistic, right? Look at your business, look at what it is that you have going on in your business. And then if you feel like, okay, I'm doing the things, but I'm not getting results, reach out to us. But if we look at your business and we say, wait, you're doing the things, but something's going on that's stopping you from doing it a certain way, or something's going on that's stopping you from showing up in a certain way, we have resources for that. When I was talking to one of my other clients, TeeCee, I said, listen, I said, you're so concerned about what you need to do that you're not willing to be guided. So, trust yourself enough that you make the right choice to be guided by the right people. And that way, even if it's not like myself or TeeCee, at least you have access to someone that you can say, at least I took that step to say, what else do I need? And we're going to guide you through that. And shout out to LaShauna West, because I just want to say, as a corporate sponsor for my nonprofit, she's amazing. But as a business therapist, I will send y'all over to her in a heartbeat, because a lot of this, y'all, comes from your mentality. The reason why you may not be successful is not necessarily because of the business plan or the marketing strategy, or because you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes it's because you don't want to know for whatever reason. And that is a self-sabotage all in itself. So we're going to talk about this some more next week. Y'all make sure y'all DM us. Y'all have an amazing day, an amazing weekend, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.